Hey bakers! I'm Kristen from Wicked Goodies, and this video is about why cake fillings bulge. Cake fillings that bulge are like the unwanted muffin tops of the cake world. Am I right? Why does it happen and how can you prevent it? Here are the top 5 most common reasons why your fillings are likely to bulge. This is one of the most common yet unexpected reasons why cake fillings bulge, and it has everything to do with how the filling layers get added to the cake. If you don't push your fillings all the way out to the edge, little caverns form where air pockets get trapped beneath the frosting. Once the cake goes on display, it warms up. As it warms up, it starts to settle, and as it starts to settle, the air pockets get pushed out to the edge, and then it looks like they're blowing bubbles out the side of your cake. The way to solve this problem is to build your cake layers in the pan instead of freeform. I've got a whole free video series on this topic that's definitely worth checking out. I will put the link below. This is the most obvious culprit. A soft filling is just more likely to get squished. If it spreads out when you spoon it onto a plate, then it's definitely going to squish out of a cake. However, the filling recipe itself is not the only variable here. The consistency, size, and form of the cake sponge may also impact how the filling performs. Tall cakes, stacked cakes, and dense, heavy cakes exert more pressure on the filling layers below, which increases the chance that they will squish out. Another variable is how the cake is finished. The more plain the outside of the cake is, the more likely bulging filling layers will show. For instance, a cream cheese filling that holds up beautifully in a 6-inch double layer cake with walnuts all around the outside may not hold up as well in a triple layer 12-inch wedding cake with just plain white frosting on the outside. The nuts hide the bulge. So how do you solve the problem of a soft filling bulge? Well, if a filling is too soft, consider not working with it. Personally, I just think it's too much of a pain working with soft fillings. If you happen to be attached to a particular filling recipe that is too soft, but you still want to use it, you can always pipe a dam of buttercream around the edge of each filling layer. Just keep in mind that this is going to require more buttercream and more work on your part as you fill the pastry bag over and over. This is another common problem. Cake filling should not be more than a 1/2 inch thick. It's better to have thin layers of cake alternating with thin layers of filling versus really thick layers of cake with one really thick layer of filling in between. Certain types of infrastructure, such as thick dowels or SPS, are going to exert pressure on the outside of the cake. This increases the chance that your cake will crack on the finish. It also increases the chance that your fillings will bulge. The wider your infrastructure elements are, the more cake you displace, the more chance that you're going to run into this kind of problem. Width is not the only factor either. The more infrastructure elements you add, the more cake you displace, the more you disrupt the inside of the cake. That's why you never want to use more dowels than needed. So the way to avoid displacing too much cake is to core out space wherever a thick column is to be inserted. You can core out cake using an apple corer or bubble tea straws. I recommend coring and inserting dowels right after the frosting stage when the cake is still somewhat soft from you having been working on it at room temperature. Then it's a little more elastic and forgiving. I don't recommend attempting to core out a cake or insert dowels when it's frozen. Temperature is something to keep in mind. Unless you're working entirely with ingredients that are stable at room temperature, you must keep your cake in the refrigerator whenever you're not working on it. If you leave it out overnight or for days and it has butter in the fillings, well, you can guess what's gonna happen. The longer the cake sits out at room temperature, the more it's gonna settle. If you transport a cake when it's soft, you can almost guarantee that the cake layers are gonna shift and the filling layers are going to squish out. In conclusion, it's important to understand that bulging filling layers aren't usually caused by just one factor alone. It's usually a combination of things that causes this to happen. If you would like to learn more about my doweling and cake transport method, check out my book, Cake Splat. All my best tips are in there.